Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time we're tackling the origin of life on Earth.
An enormous topic for sure.
Absolutely. To help us unpack this incredible journey, we've got Nick Lane's book, The Vital Question. It really digs deep.
It really does. It challenges our thinking about life's beginnings, going way beyond those basic facts.
Yeah. You know what's amazing? You really wanted to get into the fundamental principles of life and how it all began. So let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
One of the things that struck me right away is how Lane frames the whole mystery. He talks about a black hole at the heart of biology.
Right, like we've mapped the human genome, but the very origin of life is still such a mystery.
Yes, like we've been so focused on the mechanics, DNA, genes, that we've overlooked something crucial.
Energy.
Energy, exactly.
And Lane argues that this whole DNA-centric view misses a crucial point. The origin of life isn't just about replicating molecules, it's about harnessing energy in a stable, continuous way.
Right, and that's what makes life possible. I mean, without energy, there's no life.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. And this is where Lane gets really interesting. He looks at something like the Great Oxidation Event, that period when oxygen levels skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah, I remember learning about that. Wasn't it like a prerequisite for complex life? Oxygen shows up, then things get interesting.
That's the traditional view, but Lane suggests oxygen played a far more dynamic role. It actually reshaped the energy landscape, driving the evolution of new metabolic pathways.
Oh, I see. So it's not just that oxygen was needed, it actually forced life to adapt.
Precisely. It's about energy as a driving force in evolution,
Yeah.
shaping life on a fundamental level.
Wow, that's a powerful way to think about it. And this leads us to one of Lane's most compelling ideas, right?
Yeah.
Life may have originated in those deep-sea hydrothermal vents.
Right.
Deep-sea vents, they sound like something out of a sci-fi movie. These extreme environments teeming with life.
Exactly. They're fueled by chemical energy, not sunlight, which is what we normally think of as life's energy source.
Right, right. So how does that work? What makes these vents so special?
Okay, so picture this. You have porous mineral walls with natural proton gradients across them. And those gradients, they could have provided the initial energy for life to spark.
Wow. So nature provided a ready-made energy source in these extreme environments. Mind-blowing.
It is, and that's the beauty of Lane's argument. He connects these pieces, energy, geochemistry, the structure of cells, to paint this picture of life as fundamentally entwined with energy flow.
Yeah, it's making me think about life in a whole new way. And this brings us to a concept that's central to Lane's work, the proton motive force. This is the engine of cellular energy production.
Yeah.
And its discovery really revolutionized how we think about bioenergetics.
Oh, absolutely. Peter Mitchell, the guy who discovered it, he was a true visionary. His ideas were so radical, a lot of scientists initially rejected them.
Really?
Yeah, but he persisted. And ultimately, his work totally changed our understanding of how cells generate energy.
So how does it actually work? I remember learning about it, but it's always been a bit fuzzy for me.
Okay. Think of it like a water wheel. You've got these protons, positively charged particles, and they flow across a membrane. This flow, this movement of charge, that's what drives the production of ATP.
ATP being the energy currency of cells.
Exactly. So it's not just about simple chemical reactions. It's about harnessing the flow of these tiny particles.
It's like nature created these tiny power plants
Yeah.
within our cells.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And this mechanism is found in all life forms, right? From bacteria to us.
That's right. It suggests it evolved very early in life's history.
Wow. So we all share this fundamental mechanism for generating energy. And it could very well have its roots in those ancient hydrothermal vents.
Exactly. Lane proposes those natural proton gradients in the vents could have been the precursors to the proton motive force we see today.
It's like a direct line
Yeah.
from the geochemistry of early Earth to the biochemistry of life as we know it. Amazing.
It really highlights the continuity between the non-living and the living.
That's fascinating. And this idea gets even more compelling when we consider the acetyl-CoA pathway.
Yeah.
Now, this pathway is involved in metabolism, right? How our bodies break down food and make energy.
You got it. And it's found in all life forms. And it's incredibly efficient at harnessing energy from simple molecules like hydrogen and carbon dioxide. And think about the early Earth. Those molecules, they were abundant.
Ah, so Lane is suggesting this pathway was one of the earliest to evolve, taking advantage of what was readily available.
Exactly. He connects the acetyl-CoA pathway back to those hydrothermal vents. It's a direct link between the environment and the emergence of this crucial pathway.
Wow, so the metabolic processes happening in our bodies right now could have their roots in those ancient volcanic environments.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is. And it shows how deeply connected we are to the history of our planet, how the very fabric of life is interwoven with conditions that existed billions of years ago. And this connection deepens when we consider the role of mitochondria. We've all heard of them, the powerhouses of the cell, but Lane suggests they're much more than that.
Oh, absolutely. And the way they became part of our cells is key to Lane's argument through endosymbiosis.
Endosymbiosis. That's the idea that mitochondria were once free-living bacteria, right? They were engulfed by another cell.
Exactly, like a cellular merger.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that research suggests the host cell wasn't a complex eukaryote. It was an archaeon, a much simpler cell type.
That's right.
So this simpler cell was the one that acquired these powerhouses. It changes things quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests that mitochondria weren't just passive energy providers. They were probably a key driver in the evolution of complex life itself.
That is huge. So mitochondria weren't just along for the ride. They actively shaped the trajectory of life.
Exactly. They played a crucial role in the emergence of complex cells, all plants and animals.
Wow, so much to think about already. It's incredible how energy, not just DNA, emerges as this central player in shaping life.
It really challenges our traditional view and opens up a whole new way of thinking about how life began and evolved. And you know what? We're just getting started. Lane's exploration goes so much deeper into the evolution of sex, the role of free radicals, and even aging.
I can't wait to unravel those connections in the next part of our dive. Welcome back to our deep dive into the vital question. It's amazing we've uncovered so much about the origin of life already, and there's so much more to go.
Right. We've only just scratched the surface of Lane's ideas.
Well, I'm ready for more. What other mysteries of life does Lane unravel?
Let's talk about something fascinating, something that's often overlooked. Introns.
Introns. Right, those are the non-coding sequences within genes, the parts of our DNA that don't directly make proteins. Yeah, I remember learning about them, but I've always been puzzled. What's their purpose? Why are they even there?
That's a question that has baffled scientists for decades. Decades. And Lane, he offers a pretty bold proposal. He suggests that introns are actually remnants of ancient invaders.
Invaders, like
Yeah,
what?
mobile genetic elements, similar to viruses, that got into bacterial genomes billions of years ago.
Wow. So our DNA carries these scars from these ancient battles, these microscopic wars.
In a sense, yeah. Like our genes hold this hidden history, a record of these ancient encounters that shaped the evolution of life. And here's where it gets really interesting. Remember endosymbiosis? How mitochondria were once free-living bacteria.
Yeah, of course, one of the most mind-blowing ideas in biology.
Right. Well, Lane proposes that when those bacteria became mitochondria, their introns, they spread to the host cell's genome. And they shaped the very structure of eukaryotic genes. It's like this cellular legacy
Right.
passed down through billions of years.
It's incredible. So our genes, they carry this legacy of this ancient merger. It ultimately gave rise to the complexity of life as we know it.
Exactly.
It's a hidden chapter in the story of evolution, written in the language of our DNA.
It is. It's fascinating. It's an example of how events in deep time, billions of years ago, might have influenced us, the very fabric of our genes.
Wow. And this leads us to another mystery. Sex. Why did this complex process evolve? It's costly, it's risky. Evolutionary biologists have debated its purpose for ages.
And Lane, he connects it back to energy. He argues that the evolution of sex is linked to the challenges faced by those eukaryotic cells, particularly the interplay between mitochondrial and nuclear genes. These two genomes, they have to work together to ensure efficient energy production.
Ah, so it's not just about mixing genes for variety. There's a deeper, more energetic reason.
Exactly. Lane proposes that sex is about maintaining the integrity of energy production within those complex cells. Remember those mosaic respiratory chains?
Yes. The ones that are composed of proteins from both mitochondrial and nuclear DNA.
Yes. And sex helps ensure that those proteins continue to work together.
It's like a delicate dance, a negotiation between those two genomes.
Yeah.
To keep the energy flowing.
You got it. And this brings us to the concept of mitonuclear coadaptation.
Mitonuclear coadaptation.
Yeah. It's the idea that the mitochondrial and nuclear genomes, they have to co-evolve, constantly adapting to each other to maintain that optimal energy flow.
So if those genomes aren't well matched, if they're not speaking the same language, so to speak, problems arise.
Exactly. Incompatibilities that can lead to inefficiencies in the respiratory chain, less energy output. And that can impact everything, from development to fertility.
It's a delicate balance, like a finely tuned engine. If the parts aren't working together, the whole system suffers.
Right. So we've got these ancient invaders shaping our genes, And we've got sex evolving to keep our energy systems running smoothly.
It's an incredible story. What else does Lane have for us?
He takes this idea of energy even further. He challenges us to reconsider our understanding of free radicals.
Free radicals. Aren't those the bad guys? The molecules that contribute to aging and disease?
That's the typical view, yeah. But he argues we've been too quick to demonize them. While they can be harmful in excess, they also play this vital role as signaling molecules inside cells.
Wait, so free radicals, they're not just agents of destruction.
No, think of them like the body's alarm system. They signal when something is wrong, with energy production, alerting the cell to problems.
So instead of always trying to fight them off, we need to understand their role in maintaining the health of our cells.
That's the key. He's pushing us to appreciate the complexity and the interconnectedness of these processes, energy, genetics, evolution, and to recognize that even molecules we see as harmful can have these essential functions.
This is completely changing how I think about free radicals. It's like a whole new layer of complexity.
It is, and it leads to some interesting questions about antioxidants.
The antioxidants, the good guys, they protect us from free radical damage.
That's what we're told, right?
Yeah, eat your antioxidants.
But Lane, he challenges that view too. He asks, what if excessive antioxidants are actually detrimental?
Detrimental? How so? That seems counterintuitive.
Well, they might interfere with those essential signals. If we suppress all free radicals, we might prevent cells from responding properly to imbalances. It's like silencing the alarm system before you've addressed the problem.
That makes sense. It's all about balance. Too much of anything can be a problem.
Exactly. And this leads to a fascinating reinterpretation of aging.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does aging fit into this?
Lane suggests that the decline in mitochondrial function with age, which leads to more free radicals, is actually a signal for the body to clean house.
Cleaning house, meaning getting rid of damaged cells.
Exactly. Cells that can't keep up are eliminated through apoptosis, programmed cell death, making way for new, healthier cells.
So aging isn't just about damage accumulating. It's an active process of adaptation, quality control, driven by energy and information within our cells.
That's Lane's perspective. He's challenging us to see aging not as this relentless decline, but as a complex process, integrated with the mechanisms of life.
It's a whole new way of thinking about aging, not just fighting it off, but understanding its role.
And that brings us to the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore the broader implications of Lane's work. What does it all mean for life on Earth, and maybe even life beyond?
Welcome back, everyone, for the final part of our deep dive into the vital question. We've explored so much. It's really amazing how Lane ties it all together. Energy, evolution, the origins of life itself.
It really is a tapestry, weaving together all these different fields of science.
It is, and I think one of the most exciting parts is how Lane pushes us to think beyond Earth, to consider life elsewhere in the universe.
Right. If life on Earth began in those deep-sea vents with their proton gradients and those specific molecules, what might life look like on other planets? With different energy sources, different environments.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? It challenges our whole Earth-centric view.
It forces us to consider, like, all these possibilities, all these potential solutions to the challenge of existence.
I know. Like, what if, on a planet with tons of radiation, life evolved to harness that energy? Or what if, on a world with totally different chemistry, life emerged based on principles we can't even imagine?
Exactly. It makes you realize how much we don't know.
It's humbling,
Right.
but also exhilarating. To think about all those possibilities. We've spent this whole deep dive exploring life as we know it, but Lane reminds us, our understanding is still so limited.
It's like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
It makes you wonder, are we even asking the right questions?
Yeah,
You know?
right. But even with all this uncertainty, Lane's work gives us this framework for understanding life on Earth.
Yeah, and that framework, with its focus on energy, might be the key to understanding life beyond Earth, too.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has been an eye-opener. I feel like I have a new appreciation for life. From tiny cells to the vastness of space, we've learned so much, and yet there's still so much to discover.
It's the beauty of science, right? Always more to learn.
It is. And who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the one making those incredible discoveries. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the vital question, everyone. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.